Hey, it's Kevin DeWitch here and welcome to another tips, tricks, and techniques session video. In this video, we're going to have a look at stereo widening using filters. So firstly, if you are new to my channel, new to my videos, and you like what you see, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. So stereo widening with filters. Okay, stereo widening is a technique that we sometimes have to use to widen our mixes or to take a single instrument part, duplicate it to create a stereo effect. Okay, it's always better to get a stereo effect recorded properly by multiple takes or whatever else. But sometimes if you're mixing clients' work or whatever else, you really don't have an option. Okay, so stereo widening a single instrument is just something you have to do. And there's many ways to do it. Okay, so we're not going to cover all of them here, but what we are going to cover specifically in this video is doing it using filters. Okay, I am going to have videos in the future that's going to show other techniques of how to do stereo widening, but in this one, we're going to have a look at it using filters specifically. So let's just get into it and I'll show you what it's all about. Quite often I will get a song that has a mono track in it, and I really wish that I had a duplicate of it that I could make stereo. Now, the best way to do that is to actually record two passes of the same thing. Now, this might be a vocal track or it could be a guitar track or anything. Right? It's quite common with guitars that you want to make them stereo and somebody's only recorded one guitar part, which then makes it a bit difficult to make it stereo because it's never going to be as good as two passes. But let's say that's all you've got to work with and you want to do it. There's many ways to do stereo widening of guitars, but one way to do it is to use filters. So in this case here, I've got a vocal track here, which I have just duplicated. It's an exact replica of the same vocal track. At the moment, the processing on both is the same, but what I have is I have one pan fully to the left, one pan fully to the right. So let's just, for instance, start with listening to each one individually. So you've got one in the left, obviously, one in the right, as you can hear. Now you would think naturally, let me just add the two together and it will be stereo. Why wouldn't it be? But what happens is you end up with still a mono track because the left and right are identical. So when they merge together, they make it sound like it's actually coming from the center and not from the left and right. So how can we make this actually become more stereo and move to the left and right? So what I want to do is I'm going to attempt to do it using filters. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to actually make one of the tracks the low end and one of the tracks the high end. So we're going to start with the first track. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick any value. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to have this on a slope of 24. And I'm going to say, take this up to say, let's go 1096. So we'll just solo that. So now we should have, this is now mainly the top end. And then I'm going to move over to the other track and I'm going to take this down to about 1096. And this is going to be mainly our low end. So hopefully when I add the two together, we will get a stereo effect. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit off balance. Now, it could also be the effects on here. So let's clean this up a bit. I'm going to take off the reverbs at the moment because they might be throwing things out. Now, because of the frequency content in each of these, if you're hearing this properly, you'll hear the right side. Well, I'm hearing the right side as being louder, and it's throwing it off balance and pushing it over to my right side. So because the frequency content of the low end seems to be a lot more powerful than the top end, we need to balance out the levels of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost up the volume of the high-pitched one to see if I can get this to sound more balanced. So that sounds a bit more balanced, but I'm still not really happy with it. The low end in the one on my right ear is really, it's doing some nasty stuff to my ear, and I'm not really happy with it. So I think I'm going to filter out a bit of that low end and not have the vocal so low. Okay, that's a bit better. So it's not a perfect situation. Now, also keep in mind that doing this, we're not going to be sitting here just listening to the vocal. So if we had it in the rest of the track, it would probably sound a lot better. Okay, but it's not perfect. I would much rather do it another way, but this is a tactic that you can use to try and get things sitting more in the stereo field than without it. If I actually take those EQs off again, sorry, the filters off. So you'll hear that is stereo. When I had the filters off, it was sitting mono down the center. And when I put those filters back on, it did make the vocals sound wider and more stereo. So again, not the perfect solution, but it is a technique that you can try to create a stereo effect with a single mono source. So give that a shot on your next mix. Have a play around with it. If you've got a single instrument that you wish was stereo, see if you can get it working with this, especially things like guitars. It can work very well on that. But as I say, it will sound better than that when you put it into the full mix because you won't have that obvious difference between the two. But in solo, it's a little bit off-putting. It's not the best approach that I would use, but it's definitely a technique that you should be aware of and have it under your belt so that the need arises, you can use that. So there you go. That is stereo widening with filters. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Let me know if you're going to use it or if you already do use this technique on your mixes. I'd love to hear your opinion about it. If you have any questions about it or if I wasn't any clear about certain things, please, again, put them in the comments. Happy to answer questions or help wherever I can. I'd like to be able to get as many people as possible to get the most out of this content as they can. So if there is anything not clear or you've got questions, please do put them in the comments. I will answer every single one of them if I can. If you have any other suggestions for tips, tricks, or techniques that you would like me to research, cover, do a video of, whatever, please let me know in the comments. Again, I'm always looking for new ideas for videos to help people grow and develop their skills. If you do like what you see here, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.